Alright, this is IMAX Nation 1980 here with another upcoming Disney Thoughts video. Now, the previous video I thought that I kind of rushed it a bit, so I'm going to take some time on this video to discuss both the Avengers and Brave. Of course, the Avengers, being a Marvel film, and now that Disney owns Marvel, will be a Walt Disney Pictures release, and it will be released on May 4th, 2012, and it is one of the most anticipated films of the summer of 2012, along with The Dark Knight Rises. Of course, because it's going to be a big crossover event. It's going to be Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, and the Incredible Hulk all in one big film. Now, I'm not going to really, go into detail of, like, who the villain might be, or I just going to offer my thoughts on it. Now, a crossover can go either ways. It can either be really good, or it could be a big misfire. But I have faith in, the studio, particularly director Joss Whedon. I think he'll handle this project very well. I think, he'll do a good job with it. He's very good with those ensemble casts, so hopefully the Avengers will work. And some people might be thinking, now that Disney is distributing it, will they have any say of what goes into the film or what doesn't? Absolutely not. I don't think they're going to, ask for cuts or anything. Of course it's not going to aim for an R rating. It'll probably be, PG-13 like the other films. And I'm not going to worry about that because, I don't think Disney would, they don't really control what Pixar puts into their films. So I have a feeling they won't control Marvel either. So, yeah. And I wonder if they're going to actually distribute it under Walt Disney Pictures or if they're going to put it under Touchstone or something, because Disney very seldomly distributes PG-13 movies, but ever since Pirates of the Caribbean, they've only done that series along with Jerry Bruckheimer's Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time. Other than that, Disney's never released anything higher than a PG rating, but I think they're probably going to start branching out now that they have Marvel, and all future Marvel films that they have the rights to will be distributed under Disney, like Iron Man 3. That's going to be released by Walt Disney Pictures, and I wonder how they're going to even work the logo into it. Is it going to be the actual castle logo, or is it going to be, is it going to be a stylized version, kind of like what they did for Tron Legacy? I don't know. For some reason, I can't picture I can, but it's kind of weird, the Walt Disney Pictures castle being before a Marvel Comics movie. I think this is the first time Disney's ever done a comic book film other than Dick Tracy back in 1990. But I think that was under Touchstone, either that or Hollywood Pictures. I could be dead wrong, though. Buena Vista, something like that. But it's going to be a Walt Disney release, so there's going to be no cuts probably. It's probably going to be just another Marvel production. No cuts or anything. The Pirates Caribbean, if that can get a PG-13 rating, I don't think there's going to be any cuts or alterations done to, the Marvel movies. I don't think that's something anyone should worry about. I wouldn't worry about it either because, Pixar sometimes gets away with putting things in their films that might, offend or might scare younger children and all that. Sometimes their films get a PG rating. Either that or if they ever get a G rating, they're still almost like borderline PG, so I wouldn't worry about that. Disney doesn't, make any, they don't have anything cut. It's not like Michael Eisner era Disney where, potentially frightening scenes or whatever, or violent scenes were cut from the movies, particularly in the late 90s going into the early 2000s. I don't think that's anything to worry about. But all that aside, I think The Avengers has the potential to be a very good movie because, I think the 4 flicks so far, Iron Man, Iron Man 2, Captain America, not Captain America because that's not out yet, Thor and the Incredible Hulk, I think those were all pretty good. Now, I have to say Iron Man is my favorite, and my least favorite would have to be Iron Man 2 because, I don't think Iron Man 2 is a bad film. Some people thought it was a huge disappointment. I think Iron Man 2 was just, really a cash grab because I think the original plan was to make Iron Man, Hulk, Thor, and then Captain America, then go straight to the Avengers. But since Iron Man 1 grossed over $300 million, I don't think Paramount expected the film to do that well. They pushed for a sequel, and I guess director Jon Favreau didn't really have much time to work on it because, it was, they just immediately put the sequel into production while, the first Iron Man was carefully thought out. I think the first Iron Man began production, well, not production, but pre-production sometime around 2004, and then they really started working on it around 2006, so it took them at least about 4 years probably to make the first Iron Man, but only about 2 years for Iron Man 2, so you can kind of tell that Iron Man 2 was a rushed effort. Not to mention, Iron Man 2 could have easily used some better editing. They could have put more scenes in there that had to do with the story rather than focusing on silly scenes like Tony Stark getting drunk in his own suit and all that. I still think the movie is decent, and I didn't think it was that much of a blemish. I didn't think it was that much of a stain on Marvel's track record. And then again, some people might think that Spider-Man 3 was a stain too, but I personally didn't think Spider-Man 3 was all that bad. I mean, yes, I thought it was the weakest in the trilogy, but I thought it was decent. And of course, I really like Thor. Of course, I saw that on opening weekend in IMAX 3D, and right now it's my favorite movie of the year, and hopefully they'll push for a Thor 2 after the Avengers, much like Iron Man 3. And The Incredible Hulk, which was a Universal Pictures. I don't know how Disney is getting Hulk, but now that they own Marvel, I guess Universal handed the rights over or something. Because right now I think Fox still owns the rights to X-Men, so I think the Wolverine, which will be the next X-Men film, is going to be released under Fox and not Walt Disney Pictures. So I don't know. I don't know too much about this whole Marvel thing, so if you know a lot about it, you can fill me in. I think there's some characters that Marvel has the rights to, and some of them they don't have the rights to, and I think the ones that were released under Paramount, Iron Man and Thor and Captain America, I think those are the ones that they have all the rights to, but I could be dead wrong. Anyways, The Avengers, of course, is coming out May 4th. That's less than a year away. We have to see how Captain America turns out. And I have a feeling Captain America is going to be a box office hit. I mean, I don't think it could fail. It can either do, Fantastic Four numbers, or it could do Iron Man numbers. I have it at 200 million right now. I think it's going to have a big opening, and then it's going to have decent word of mouth and legs. I don't know, I don't see Captain America grossing more than $220 million. I thought Thor was going to reach that, but, it's just a prediction. Maybe, who knows, maybe Captain America can be a huge blockbuster. I mean, what does it really have for competition? Like Cowboys and Aliens opens the week after it, but what else is coming in August that's going to be a threat to Captain America? So we'll see how Captain America turns out to be. Apparently, early screenings didn't go over too well. That's what I'm a little worried about. I did like the trailer. I mean, they did a pretty decent job with the trailer, but we need another trailer. It's like the movie fell off the face of the earth. They got to start marketing it. I don't want it to go over the same way The Incredible Hulk did back in 2008, so we'll see what happens. The Avengers, I don't know if that's going to be in 3D or not. I forgot. I'll have to look it up again. But, of course, it'll probably be a conversion 3D, much like Thor and Captain America. I don't think those were filmed in 3D. I think those were converted. I didn't really notice much 3D effects in Thor anyways when I saw it in IMAX. But it was worth seeing in IMAX for the sound quality alone and the picture quality. If you haven't seen Thor yet, I definitely recommend it. So hopefully Captain America will be good, and the Avengers will live up to most expectations. And of course, I also mentioned that I would talk about Disney and Pixar's Brave, which will be their 13th film, I believe. Yeah, it's their 13th, because Toy Story 3 was 11th, Cars 2 will be the 12th, this will be the 13th. Now, about Brave, it's going to be a fairy tale, and it looks quite different from the other Pixar films. They revealed an image of the main character, and, it looked pretty good, but I personally thought the concept art that they revealed before that looked a lot better. The design was a little bit different, and apparently the creative team on the film were inspired by the works of Hayao Miyazaki, and I guess you could see some of that in the concept artwork, particularly the princess on the horse with the bow and arrow. Princess Merida, or Merida, however you say it. Sorry. But I have a feeling that you know, I have a feeling that it'll be just as good as anything else Pixar's ever done. They said it's going to be a little darker than the usual Pixar films, according to an interview, or either that or it was a tweet by Lee Unkrich, saying something that it was gritty or something. So I can only imagine what it's going to be like. And, of course, it's going to be in 3D. And, you know, I mean, Pixar has done a pretty decent job with their films in 3D. I mean, the 3D versions are worth going to, unlike other films out there. I mean, Toy Story 3 had some pretty good 3D in it. Particularly, I remember the 3D being pretty good on a couple scenes, and I remember it worked very well for the incinerator scene. And, of course, I thought the 3D in Up worked on some scenes, too. So I can only imagine how the 3D on Cars 2 and Brave are going to be. I mean, I'm going to be seeing Cars in IMAX 3D anyways, so when I offer the review, I'll probably talk about how they did the 3D. I believe Brave will probably be in IMAX 3D as well, all future Pixar productions, unless the 3D pretty much is dead in the dirt and all studios go back to 2D. You know, it would be nice if, other studios, they just offered films, if they really need to be in 3D, like Avatar was something worth going to in 3D along with a couple others. But, it's just cheap conversions with Hollywood. I think they should, in order to really deliver a good 3D experience, they should film it in 3D. But, Brave comes out June 22nd, 2012, and I have a feeling Brave will be just really good. If Cars 2 turns out to be a bit of a misfire, and I'm hoping that it isn't. I mean, I know it looks kind of like a cash grab in a movie that was made out of marketing concerns, but if Cars 2 is a little dent, hopefully Brave can repair that. But if Cars 2 isn't a dent, then it'll be all right. And Brave certainly sounds pretty ambitious. I do like the idea because Pixar, I think, is one of the only studios right now in America that's actually being ambitious right now, and that they're trying new things, much in the way Walt Disney did. And I think DreamWorks has started to ramp up their ambition too. They're working on a movie right now called Me and My Shadow. It's supposed to be a CGI and hand-drawn combination. I'm looking forward to that more so than any other DreamWorks film because they announced like a ton of them for up till 2014. As usual, DreamWorks always puts out an upcoming slate like that, and only half of the movies on there end up being made. I mean, I don't mean to be harsh on DreamWorks. I think they make pretty good films, entertaining films, but, you know me, I'm really big about Pixar. But hopefully Brave will be a really good film, and it will probably be huge because it takes place in medieval Scotland, and I think a medieval setting would be very universal. I mean, of course, films like Up and Ratatouille, which took place in international settings, did very well at the worldwide box office, but something like Cars, which had an American setting, didn't do as well overseas. So, and ever since Finding Nemo, Pixar films have exploded overseas. So hopefully Brave will be a huge hit, and it will be a very good film as well. I'm certainly looking forward to it, maybe more so than Cars 2, but I don't know. I got to see Cars 2 first, and I'll offer a review on the teaser, because that's going to be with Cars 2, so stay tuned for that, June 24th.